Especially if you're British, it seems. Brits not only travel more than other nationalities, but new research suggests a startlingly high proportion are for pre-wedding blowouts, sometimes called bachelor or bachelorette parties. They're known over here as stag and hen do's. The environmental charity Hubbub has found half of flights taken by young British men are for stag parties, and a third of women's flights are for hen do's. Coletta Smith is following the story.
Hubbub asked a group of more than 2,000 people between the ages of 20 to 45 a whole list of questions really about how they felt about stag and hen do's, when they went on them, the kind of places that they went on them, and the information that came back is really interesting. So 50% of the flights taken by men between the ages of 20 and 45 were for stag do's. The figure is slightly lower for women, it's 36% of that same age group, but that's still a huge percentage of those flights. Now, what this report terms them as is kind of frivolous flying. So we're not talking about people going away for their annual 2-week break or the big family holiday. It's simply a weekend if you're going maybe from Friday to Sunday for a stag or a hen do. The most popular locations that came back in this survey, flying obviously from the UK, were Amsterdam, Barcelona, Benidorm, Ibiza, Dublin, Paris, Berlin. If you live in one of those cities, I am sure you are well used to seeing people from the UK. In fact, what's really interesting is more than half of those surveyed who said yes, they'd been abroad on stag and hen do's, also complained about it. So they said that it felt like they were going away for too long, that it was too expensive, that it involved too much travel. So actually a lot of those people saying they would rather have holidayed in the UK for those parties, but instead when the bride or groom decide, or perhaps it's the person organising the stag or the hen do that decides where it's going to be, and everybody else just has to suck it up.
British tourists don't always have the best of reputations abroad for their relationship with alcohol, but there are now going to be concerns, I expect, about our reputation as far as our environmental impact is concerned.
Yeah, exactly. When you look at how these sums add up, so swapping a flight from London to Las Vegas and instead going to Manchester on the train for the stag or the hen do for the weekend, that's the equivalent to one person going vegan for a year and a half. And that's somebody classed as a heavy meat eater. So it's a significant change. Swapping Dubai for Edinburgh is the equivalent of giving up driving for 7 months. So when you're putting it in that context in terms of the carbon emissions and the kind of changes that lots of people are wanting to make in their everyday lives, actually just cutting down on that one flight could make a huge change.
And Brits travel more, as you say, than other nationalities. That fact combined with this study, what does it tell us about British society?
Well, I suppose a couple of factors have combined at exactly the same time over the last decade or so. One is that really cheap flights are now available, and that's happened at the same time that bride and grooms are getting older. So people are getting married maybe late 20s, early 30s. That means that they've got more disposable income. They are more well-travelled as individuals themselves, so they're more likely to want to get their pals together and go a bit further afield. So because those two things have happened at the same time, there's now a lot more pressure on people to go a bit further, to spend a bit more. And as I say, that puts pressure on the whole group of people who perhaps not all of them are all that keen to do all that travel.
Coletta Smith, and that was the newsroom. Thanks for listening.